Hey everyone, and welcome back to PipeHeadTV. Today we have episode 4, which is my gameplay in the Arkansas Beta Premium Tier 4 Battleship. So let us get started. Yep, we're playing a whole mess of folks here. So it looks like they have a carrier. We have a carrier, so that's pretty good. And they have one Tier 5 battleship. So, give me a comments too. Is the video too dark? Because it didn't record dark. I'm sorry. It wasn't dark when I recorded it, but it seems like it recorded dark. I've recorded this damn video, I don't know, a couple, 3 times from the replay system for World Warships. So, but anyways, let's get talking about the Arkansas Beta. I like this ship. I do. I really do. It's a moneymaker, first of all. It's got a shitload of guns, right? 5 double turrets. Very nice. And it makes great experience. I tend to win in this boat more frequently than I lose in this boat, anyways. So yeah, I like it. Now, of course, it's got stupid RNGesus spreads, especially at range with the cannons, but it's just something you learn to live with. And I think driving this ship has made me a better battleship captain because it has forced me to learn to aim better. Now that particular shot group right there is pretty tight considering. But you see there, I just didn't blow a full salvo, right? I mean, you see these battleship drivers and they're like, oh, there's a ship here, derp, 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 and boom, they blow the whole broadside, and they didn't even aim. I mean, I would hope they aimed, but I mean, they didn't give themselves a ranging shot. They didn't see how far lead they need or how fast the target is traveling, and they end up missing with all of their shots. Now, I think that's a great salvo. Unfortunately, RNGesus was with me, or not with me, and I didn't score too many hits. Now, admittedly, it was towards the back of the boat, of the Phoenix there. But still, that shot is way to the back of the boat, and he scored no hits, which was a full broadside. I think battleship drivers need to play a little smarter when it comes to firing. Now, later on in this video, you'll see me where I'm like firing one turret, then the next turret, then the next turret, then the next turret. RNGesus, for the really 830 points. It was a good shot. Most of those shots were in the midsection of the ship where the Citadel's at on the Phoenix. Anyways, you'll see later on in the video, and it's almost as if the delay between turret to turret to turret was long enough that it was almost like I was in continuous fire mode, and it allowed me to range and properly aim the next shot and then the next shot. Not to say that that's always a good tactic. Now, I didn't follow my advice here, and I didn't do a good shot, but I'd already kind of knew how far the Miyogi is travel, so you get to memorize ships. You get to memorize what their top speeds are. And if you use the hash marks on your, oh, good hit, 5,000 plus. If you use the hash marks on your targeting reticle there, you get to learn that distance and how much lead you need to put in order to hit a ship. So those hash marks are there. And then RNGesus was with me for everything but the last round. Really? Anyways, So there's a ranging shot on this Miyogi. Since it was the first turret up and I was waiting for reload, might as well just double check my aim. The other thing too to know when you're ranging on on ships, not just battleships, is how much their smoke is trailing behind them or in front of them if they're going backwards. That's also a good indicator of how fast they are going. So if you know the top speed of the ship and you know what it looks like in terms of how much the smoke angle, you'll know if the ship is traveling at full throttle or if it's, you know, half throttle or something slow, or even going backwards. Oh, another great shot here. And that was an excellent salvo, over 10,000, over 11,000 points of damage. The other thing to take note when firing on a battleship, or any ship for that matter, is your distance, right? Obviously, if the ship is closer to you, it's going to take a shorter amount of rounds to reach the target. And RNGesus, really? Again, what are you going to do? Depending on distance, right? So if it's farther away, even though it's a slow boat, you still have to give it more lead time. That makes them, I don't know what I was aiming at there. The targeting reticle in the WoW's replay is not accurate, of course. Now this guy is moving backwards. As you can see, his smoke is not going trailing to the back, it's trailing to the front. So, the problem with destroyers and cruisers is they can start and stop and pick up speed fairly quickly, unlike a battleship. So, anywho, but even at maximum distance, you know, a big slow battleship like an Arkansas Beta or a Wyoming is a good one, or a New York. I mean, your target lead is. Oh, here's a herpaderp moment. Herpaderp. Hello there, big brother Wyoming. Can I kiss your butt? Just get zoomed in. You get target lock. Lord. Anywho, even at great distance though, some battleships you don't need to give a lot of lead to. 3, my particular targeting reticle, which I use as mods or as lanes. I'll put a link to it in the description below. Nice. See how I did that staggered fire? So I made sure I was targeted in. Anyways, the targeting reticle I use from that mod pack, which also gives me the transparent mini map if you're curious, and the special ship icons. The targeting reticle, so long as you use the same one over and over and over again, you'll be able to learn, you know, your hash marks and what sort of lead time you need to give. Now, you face a fast battle boat like a Fuso, well, you got to get that sucker a lot more lead time, especially if he's at distance, and they're deceptively fast. I find that I frequently underestimate the distance that they're traveling. The other thing to take into consideration when aiming is, did they just come out of a turn? Did they, are they turning currently? So, all things to take into consideration when aiming. And I see such poor aim. I mean, RNGesus aside, because it's a factor out of our control, right? If you couple that with RNGesus, you're aiming. If you couple that with RNGesus, you're going to be disappointed. No, so here, I'm not really sure what this Phoenix was thinking. I think he was zoned in on the other battleship next to me, just in front of me. But this is where I start to do this sort of very slow turret by turret fire. Now, I don't recommend this all the time, but because he was constantly starting and stopping and going backwards and going forwards, it was difficult to determine where my shots, where I needed to aim my shots. And as you can see, our Jesus was just all busting my chops on these shots. But eventually, I'm able to dial him in and start doing damage. But look how I'm able to keep up the rounds downrange on him. Just constant, one after the other, with just a couple of seconds in between each salvo. And no surprise, as the guy's driving backwards while facing 3 ships, he dies. But still, it just amazes me what people do. I can see he was backing around. Look at that tight shot group. Look at that grouping. That's smexy. I wish all of mine were like that. Of course, it goes completely over the target because it's turning and whatever. You get some good groupings out of these cannons, I tell you. These are the ones I live for. And his death. So, battleship drivers, work on your aim, please. I see so many people complaining about the spread, and you'll see a guy coming up, that Wyoming driver, as a matter of fact, right in front of us. Oh, yeah, and I was riding a rail like a total noob there. I was completely zoned in. Don't do that. Don't stay zoned in. But I had nothing, I had no reason not to, right? I mean, there wasn't any planes coming at me. There wasn't torpedo bombers coming at me. There wasn't any reason not to stay zoomed in. I was keeping an eye on the mini-map. That's the other thing. Keep an eye on your mini-map. Always keep an eye on your mini-map. I think I have some videos coming up in the future where I demonstrate what happens when you don't keep your eyes on the mini-map. You die. That's the long and short of it. So we're pretty much just in mop-up mode here. There, of course, is the aircraft carrier, the Langley, running for his dear life. And that Wyoming driver. And the Miyogi to the who's in our base. Now, you notice I didn't switch to HE rounds on that first salvo. Just don't waste the time and get shots on target, right? Especially from that distance, you're going to get some pretty decent plunging fire, even with AP rounds, and you are likely to do, if you hit in the right place, get a good citadel. Which for the aircraft carrier, particularly this Langley, but most aircraft carriers, is usually right underneath the stacks. That's where the engineering is at. But I was trying to set the deck on fire, of course, to stop the torpedo bombers from coming back after us again. I was not successful. To let you know. Now you can see the Langley is not a fast moving ship, and you can see how little my lead is on the boat. Now I also am not a fast moving ship, so in order to keep the range, or to keep him within range, I am only using my front 2 turrets, which is fine. I'm in no imminent threat at the moment. We've got plenty of time, which does come back to bite me in the ass. But for now, it is just racking up the damage. Now I'm heading towards the cap as well. To cap out. I'm also praying that the Wyoming, there we go, here's some damage coming. I'm also praying that the Wyoming and the Miyogi that are in the back there headed towards our cap are going to take care of the enemy Miyogi. Or Miyogi, excuse me. So, I've lost sight of the Langley. It happens. I don't understand how aircraft carriers are so well hidden, considering they're so tall off the water, but regardless, Wargaming had to do something to keep them alive. So, we're going to concentrate our attention on the enemy Wyoming. And now the Miyogi to the north has died. That and the Langley are the last two ships left. So I can't cap until I kill the Wyoming because he's going to keep resetting me. And my friends are just too far away to actually do any help with the cap. Now that St. Louis comes into play here in a little bit. And I think he did a bit of a misplay here. You just saw him on the screen, on the right side of the screen. Sliver of health. Sliver. Like a couple hundred at most, right? Well, he could have easily hid behind that island to my starboard side there. Oh, here comes some torps. There's a very poor torp drop by the carrier driver, by the way, which I've discussed in previous episodes. Anywho, the St. Louis comes down. He could have hid behind the island, and he could have capped out. Right? I think the Langley driver would have continued to concentrate on me, and the St. Louis driver, we kind of given it away here. We could have won. We didn't lose, but we didn't win either. Surprise! It's a draw. Now, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, it takes a good minute. I forget what it is. 2 minutes? Minute and a half? Whatever it is. To cap if you're a lone ship. Now, the other thing that could have happened is the Wyoming that's coming down could have got in the cap as well, right next to the St. Louis. But no! No, he did help me with this ship, but I mean, I really, at this point, wasn't in need of help. I was more than capable of taking on the Wyoming. I had enough health left that I really didn't need it. But we see the St. Louis now behind me. He's gonna pop out. Oh, that's another thing that I'd like to point out. So the Wyoming driver is using HE, as evidenced by all the fires that he's had. Yeah, you know, don't do it. Here's a bit of a misplay by me. Seeing that the torpedo bombers are coming in. I'd already had popped my repair ability to stop the fires. Probably should have waited just a little bit. But because I went behind this island and the St. Louis popped out behind me, the Wyoming had no other target. Guess who he killed? The St. Louis. So now the Wyoming driver didn't get in the cap and we lost. Well, we didn't lose. But there's not enough time to cap out. We just don't have it anymore. So, and people are yelling at me in chat, cap. It doesn't matter at this point. I mean, I could have stayed in the cap, mind you. So I do take ownership of that. That was kind of a bit of a noob move there. But I was a bit under duress. I mean, admittedly, you know, still. I'm trying to maneuver, but I've forgot I had hit the enter key and I was typing in chat there. Yeah, another noob. Hey, I never said I was a great player. Anyways, just a few seconds left. 17, 16, 15. Going into the cap, but it really doesn't make any difference here. This ends in a draw. And it happens. You know, you take your lumps, you know. But it was a good game. A darn good game. So as you can see there, I got Unsinkable, which is a great medal to get. I like that one. I'm Confederate, which is the best medal. 50% addition or 20% additional experience. So, or 50%, excuse me. I was right. So as you can see, I was top of the heap, but not as good as the Omaha on the other team. He did a good job. So thank you, and please subscribe. I appreciate that, and put a like on the video because that always helps too. All right, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next episode.